Hello, you're watching Ambassador Corner here on TVR World. For this very special edition, we come to you from the capital of Russian Federation, the city of Moscow. Well, in retrospect, the Republic of Indonesia and Russian Federations have both enjoyed such harmonious and nurtured bilateral and diplomatic relations dating back over 70 years ago, spanning across many different pertinent and important sectors. And we're here today in the beautiful city of Moscow to sort of discover some of the most important and essential highlights of these cooperations and, most importantly, its projections in the coming future. I am Rahmat Idris, and I'm extremely delighted and honored to be seated in conversations with the Ambassador of Indonesia to Russian Federation with concurrent accreditation to the Republic of Belarus, His Excellency Jose Antonio Morato Tavares. Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, thank you very much for welcoming us to this beautiful embassy here in Moscow. I should say, terima kasih, spasiba.
Thank you very much for coming and welcome to Moscow.
The privilege and the pleasure is all ours, Mr. Ambassadors, and not to mention, we are in awe of its historical value. But before we get to that, Mr. Ambassadors, I mentioned earlier that we've enjoyed such flourishing relations, Indonesia and Russia, over 70 years, to be precise, 74 now. So at this current state of bilateral and diplomatic relations, give us the current landscape of our relations.
Well, as you said, we have a long history, 74 years of diplomatic relations. We continue to maintain good relations with Russia. And I must say that our bilateral relations is stable. Yeah. We have visitors at the high level visits. President Joko Widodo visited Russia twice, Sochi, Moscow, and ministerial level meetings, as well as senior officials visit. So there are a lot of activities between government to government as well as business to business. So I see the great potential that we can nurture and further expand in the future between the two countries.
Wow. Your Excellency, Ambassadors, in the course of 74 years, what would you say the best highlights of the relations between the Republic of Indonesia and Russian Federations? And that is to note the fact that we have made such compelling strides in economic trades and even tourism in some perspectives.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in economic terms, say the trade, it is growing every year. Say last year, we have a trade volume of 3.4 billion.
Yeah, that's in 2023 alone.
2023 alone. Right. I must say that even though this is a good number that has been growing from previous years, but this actually small in comparison with the great potentials that the two countries has.
Right.
So the two countries have. So I must say that in fact we can double or triple this volume in the next few years. And in the investment sector, for example, in comparison with last year, the previous years, last year 2023, we have the growth of 273%. So the 2022, we have about 40 million investment of Russia. Yeah. I'm sorry, 30 million, around that. But 2023, we have 140 million US dollars. So this is a good sign. And in the 3 months during the 2024, we already have a Russian investment for about 60 million. It means that this year will be even bigger in comparison with the previous years. So there's a growing trade relations between the two countries, investment, and as you mentioned, tourism. Yeah. Tourism is growing very fast. Now we have about 161,323 tourists from Russia visited Indonesia last year. Yeah. It means that this number is much bigger than the number prior to COVID-19.
So there's a bright future ahead there in terms of tourism attractions.
Exactly.
For visitors from Russia. Yeah. Before we touch more on that, Mr. Ambassador, I'd like to go back to what you said earlier, as that there's a room to grow here in terms of trade values between our countries. And if I may take into account the number that was released in 2022 by our Central of Statistics, saying that over $5 billion was the trade value of Russia and Indonesia in 2022. However, it contracted to 3 point something in 2023, and that's already 1 year after what's so-called military operations or the ongoing war. Has that in any way impacted our relations?
It is have the effect on the bilateral, on the trade relations because of the sanctions that involve in relation to the payment system. The
excluded from the SWIFT system has its own impact to international trades, right?
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And of course, logistical issue, insurance problem, shipment, and so on. So I think these difficulties, we should find ways to address these difficulties to have an increase in our trade relations. Well, we think that we should continue to have this enhancement, fostering this trade relation, despite the difficulties that we have, because this is not only one difficulty that we are facing right now.
So there are a lot on the table as our homework in terms of, and this is also special and momentous occasions for our visit here in Moscow, Mr. Ambassador, because just a couple of days ago was the celebrations of the Victory Day here in Moscow. Huge celebrations across the country. And we also share a long history of our founding father, President Sukarno, first president of Indonesia, himself was here in person. What more can you tell us about this history?
Actually, President Sukarno visited 4 times.
4 times?
4 times, 1956, 59, 61, and 64. And he celebrated actually his birthday in 1961. Here, just beside here.
In the vicinity of where we are right now.
Exactly. So with of course, at the time, the figures of the Soviet Union at the time.
Right. So that's going to be something we're going to have to hold on to for now, but we have to take a quick break. Mr. Ambassador, more exciting conversations right here on Ambassador Corner. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Ambassador Corner here on TV Our World. We are privileged to be in conversations with the Ambassador of Indonesia to Russia and also Belarus. Mr. Ambassador Jose, just a few months back, we had such an invaluable opportunity to sit down in conversations with the presidents of the Republic of Tatarstan within the Russian Federation, His Excellency Rustam Minikhanov, and he was in person, expressed his eagerness and how keen he was to have more students coming in to study to Russia, most especially in Kazan, the capital of the Republic of Tatarstan. As of this point, we interviewed him. Only 67 students from Indonesia studying there. He would like to have more. Is there a role of our embassy playing here to attract more students?
We do. Actually, we inform our universities about Russian Center of Excellence here. They have very good universities here. So far, the government of Russian Federation provided 300 scholarship program for Indonesian students.
Is that a quota, Mr. Ambassador?
Yeah, it's a quota annually. It's annually they provided 300. And even they said if you can utilize the whole 300 quota that they provide.
But can we though? Do we meet the expectations?
That's the problem. Very often we don't fulfill the entire quota that has already provided by the Russian government in various faculties. Say for example, artificial intelligence and oil and gas and so on. That
petroleum,
petroleum,
especially
exactly.
technology.
Yeah, so there are various faculties that they can study here, and so far there's about 600 Indonesian students, ups and downs. Sometimes they have finished their study and they're going, and some are coming again. So there's around there 600 to 700 students, and we have an MOUs agreements between Indonesian universities, about 70 Indonesian universities with the Russians, almost the same number, and this is about 140 MOUs and agreements. So actually some are dormant, so I asked my colleagues to go through these, and we can invite more universities to come here and implement what they have signed with the Russian universities. And they are very eager to engage with Indonesian
So that's on behalf of the institutions, the universities, Mr. Ambassadors. But when we talk from talk about the perspective from the students and the parents who send them over to Russia, we still need to sort of encourage and incentivize our students to sort of come over for the knowledge sharing here in Russia. How do we go about that?
This is the part that has been influenced by the news about the conflict here.
What's being covered around the globe.
Parents are reluctant to send their children because they hear the news that here is is not secure and so on. But when you arrive here, as you see by yourself, students, you can meet the students here. Perhaps you also
we
met
spoke
some
to them
Gaza.
actually. As a matter of fact, they said everything's fine. We can study peacefully. Everything is going okay.
So. It's so far as I see, there is no problem in terms of security. So parents can send their children here to study.
So for future students watching the program right now, do not be worried. Everything is fine. If you feel like you're interested to go to Russia to study, doors are open, opportunities are provided.
By the way, there are students also in the border, near the border between
near the border of Ukraine, the 2,000 kilometers you're saying.
Wow, so there are about 100 kilometers from the border. So we tell them if you are feel insecure, you can come to the embassy, and we have shelter here for them. But
that is amazing.
So far they're not coming here.
Okay.
So they're staying there.
So words of encouragement have come from our ambassador. On to another topic now, Mr. Ambassador, because just last year, Indonesia assumed the chairmanship of ASEAN, which is something that we were proud of. It was just on the heels of the very successful G20 presidency. And at one point, during the ASEAN Defense Minister meeting, the ADMM in Jakarta, our Minister of Defense, Prabowo Subianto, our President-elect at them, expressed his deepest gratitude and appreciations to the Minister of Defense of Russia, who was there in person. And Indonesia and Russia have long also been cooperating in defense. What more have you heard about this? Walk us through the possible future relations now that our current defense minister is the president-elect.
I hope that under President Prabowo Subianto, the military relations between Russia and Indonesia will improve, will be strengthened.
He has a strong background on that.
Exactly, the strong background, and Russia has a historical relations with our military when they help us during our struggle for independence. They have provided a lot of military equipment, and I must say that Russia is a reliable source of military equipment for Indonesia. Even I can suggest to the government of Indonesia, said if there are too much prerequisites, too much conditions imposed on Indonesia, I suggest that Indonesia come to purchase the military equipment from Russia.
So that's something that we can expect to even grow in the future with the new administrations in the country.
Yes.
Right. Back to the thing that you mentioned a little bit earlier and how we try to make strides in terms of attracting more visitors from Russia over to Indonesia, and probably vice versa when the dust has settled, Your Excellency. Just a couple of years back, our Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy launched the 10 super priority tourism destinations. We also handed our very special guidebook on those 10 destinations to our partners, broadcast partners was here in Moscow. What's in the book of our embassy here to further introduce those destinations to future tourism market here in Russia?
So we promoting Indonesian tourism in any opportunity that we can have. Recently, we have the Deputy Minister for Tourism and Creative Economy came here, and we just put together all of the businessmen together, and that can also invest in the tourism sector. And as you know, that there are already 4 requests from airplanes of Russian airplanes here to fly directly to Indonesia. And I am sure if we can respond positively to this request, then it will be double or triple of the visitors to Indonesia. And I think this is it is not something new. We just resume the flight that previously we have already done before the COVID-19. So you can resume it.
And also during the current and ongoing geopolitical tensions that have lasted for over 2 years now, whether we want it or not, it goes without saying that it has impacted that particular sector, right, Mr. Ambassador?
Yeah, well, it does, but you see, because the Russian tourists now find difficulties to go to Europe or to the Western countries, they will go to the East. They will go to Indonesia, they will go to
searching
Thailand.
other destinations that they can have.
And we have a lot of provide for them as well.
We have a lot. I concur with you. Before we close this segment, I'd like to hear a quick word from you, Mr. Ambassador, on how we can further push the cooperations in technology. Goes without saying, Russia is one of the hubs in the world. Kazan, in particular, Republic of Tajikistan, hundreds upon hundreds of IT parks there, and we have a lot to learn. How do we nurture and flourish these types of relationships, meaning that adopting technologies with the current and, I should say, ongoing threatening from artificial intelligence?
Exactly. That's what I'm asking Indonesian students to come, and we can you know, they can study in those universities and IT. I have only one student that studied artificial intelligence. I know in near Kazan.
Here in Russia, or near Kazan.
Yeah, in Kazan. So various technologies that they can provide in that area of Kazan. And also talking about technology, I know that previously there is perhaps the first technology transfer of that, at the time, Soviet Union to Indonesia is the Krakatau Steel. Krakatau Steel was signed in 1960 under President Sukarno, his watch. So you see, there's the first transfer of technology of the Soviet Union at the time. The Russian have provided us. And since then we developed. And now, you see, that is
how it has become one of the major companies in the
so there are reliable technology that Russia can have a joint cooperation with Indonesia. We can mention some.
Your Excellency Ambassadors, we're about to close this particular segment, and next up I'd like to know more about your tenure here as an ambassador here in Moscow. And we have more exciting conversations coming up. Stay with us right here on TV and World. Don't go anywhere. Well, thank you so much for still being with us on this week's editions of Ambassador Corner here on TV Our World. We're still coming to you from Moscow. I'm still with the Ambassador of Indonesia to Russia. Mr. Ambassadors, you were inaugurated as our ambassador for Moscow back in October 2020, almost 4 years into your stewardship here in Moscow. How has the experience been for you personally?
I have to say that during the 37 years of my diplomatic career, I love to be here.
That's really great.
One of the very best posts that as a diplomat I'm
And you have had a lot of achievements and history backs in terms of postings in different countries. Why was that? Why is that?
I think I'm surprised that when I arrive here, it does not my understanding previously of Russia as that people are very cold, they hardly smile, and that they are atheist, that they are communist, and so on. When I arrive here, I find that people here are very
It's the
warm.
juxtaposition of it all.
Yeah, they are very hospitable.
Very
people.
warm.
Very warm. And this makes me surprised that they are very religious people here. You know that if they pass through the church, outside the church, like 5 meters, and they can do this. And
they'll spend time. They'll take time to do that.
They will spend time outside the church, let alone inside.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, they are very friendly people. They are very friendly people here. So it changed my perception that previously I was thinking about Russia.
Yeah. What was the most challenging task that you have had to overcome during your tenure here, almost 4 years in Russia? That's something truly memorable to you.
Memorable. I think that's what I'm just saying to you.
Seeing all these little things that you observed on the streets.
So I previously I didn't know that Muslim, for example, was here 1,100 years ago in Tatarstan. So the second biggest religion in the country. And I find that people here is very warm. That's what I've just said to you. So. Your question again?
Just some of the most memorable experience, something that you've actually mentioned there, Your Excellency. Which brings me, you mentioned the Tatarstan people and the origin of Muslims entering the region, if not the country, thousands years ago. We were there also at some point in time, just last year. And the upcoming Kazan Forum, which is the 15th now, is the embodiment of that particular respect towards harmony and diversity and different religions here in the country, particularly toward Muslims. And Indonesia can truly relate to that, as we are the most populous Muslim country in the world, and we are also participating in the upcoming Kazan Forum. What more can you tell us about the upcoming, just next week, the upcoming forum, in comparison to how it was held last year and the times before?
The forum is where we can exchange our views on various issues, economic issues, and also have business-to-business contact. If we have some products and you have contacted them, we can have even a contract that some people in the past already done in Kazan Forum. And I think this is a great opportunity to explore business-to-business opportunities ahead. And there is not only the Kazan Summit in terms of business, there is also a religious aspect of this. There is discussion on religious issues, as well as Yan Diplomatic Forum that annually they have conducted it. So there is a kind of exchange of views. I think a year ago we have also have a performance of fashion show, halal type of thing, clothing.
That's such a highlight in Kazan, because it's a flourishing a business and industries that has been embraced not only by the Muslim communities, if we may say, Mr. Ambassador, it has reached even non-Muslims markets, meaning that they have understood these layers of standards that the productions have had to meet before marketing their products. And Indonesia is also one of the...
this halal industry is one of the
destinations
for that. We trying to have it between Indonesia and Russia.
Right. Well, time is flying. I've been enjoying this conversation immensely, Mr. Ambassador, but just one last words for you. With the upcoming new administrations, and we are celebrating 75 years next year in February, the relations between Indonesia and Russia. What are your biggest hopes and expectations for these relations to come into?
Well, we will continue to promote good relations with Russia, promoting tourism, trade and investment. That's what we are doing. Normally, we have a lot of activities in universities, whether we are doing or not, whether we are initiating or not. And also we have a lot of associations, friendship society with Indonesia here. Yeah. We have Russian international cooperation here that are very friendly to us. They are very fond of engaging with us. We have, for example, the Indonesia-Russia Youth Association. We have also the Kirana Nusantara Densia that is, we have Gamelan, for example. We have alumni of students that are studying Indonesia. We can come together and have some activities here. A forum for exchange of views, how to move forward with our relations. In fact, in terms of government to government, business to business, it's already there, established. So we can just foster this kind of relationship.
Yeah, I guess we have to leave it there. Our time of conversation has come to an end. And allow me to thank you again, Mr. Ambassador, for your time and your insights on TV Our World, and for welcoming us to this beautiful space of yours at the embassy. And on behalf of the Indonesian people, thank you again for being the extensions of our government and delivering your noble duty here in Moscow. His Excellency Jose Antonio Morato Tavares, Ambassador of Indonesia to Russian Federations with concurrent accreditation to the Republic of Belarus. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you. Spasiba.
Thank you very much.
And that conversations with Mr. Ambassador has given us such a bright hope for the future relations between Indonesia and the Russian Federations, and just for more things to expect in the coming future. And I'm Rahmat Idris. This has been a pleasure for the opportunity to converse with the Ambassador. Thank you so much for watching from Moscow. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.